All right. Welcome back to another episode of Two Plain Sports. Today, we're just going to recap the Alamo Bowl, Bob's final game as a head coach. Fingers crossed. I love him, but don't need him back. And then we'll talk about some of the guys that have confirmed that they will not be part of the program. We're going, moving on to the draft. Before we get into it, thank you guys so much for everything. Channel's been going super quick. We've said it over and over in the last probably 10 videos, but it's all thanks to you guys. Keep doing what you're doing. Like the video, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and don't forget to check us out on social media, Instagram and Twitter at Two Plain Sports. And if you don't like looking at us, we don't blame you. Go to Spotify. Links are all down in the description. You can find everything at Two Plain Sports. Easy enough. Let's get into it. The game, I think we all had different expectations of what it was going to be, but at the end of the day, the outcome was what we all wanted. The Sooners came out victorious, and we got to see Bob pass on the visor to our new head coach at the end of the game during the trophy ceremony. Brandon, you want to kick it off? What do you think about the game?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's awesome. It started, you can't ask for much of a better start, taking a 30-3 lead into halftime. It was really good. They established the run game early, really early and often. Kennedy Brooks, went for 142 yards on 14 carries, 10 yards a carry average. Eric Gray, I think, had 8 for 82. I think as a team, it was like 322 rush yards on 7.5 yards a carry. It's hard to tell, in some of these games. I kind of expected Oklahoma to go out there and handle business. Oregon's very depleted. You got opt-outs. You got opt-outs both sides, but it's hard to tell with games like this just because of, the decimated rosters, opt-outs. Kids just, they're more looking forward to their NFL career at this point, and that's fine. You don't want to get hurt in a bowl game. I understand it, but I do wish that everybody would play the bowl games, get a more feel of what the games would be, the matchups would be. I thought Caleb Williams looked really good, 21-27, 242 yards, 3 touchdown passes. He hit the really deep one to Marvin Mims. Thing of beauty. I think there was a lot of positive takeaways. Marcus Stroman, I think, looked pretty good on the defensive side of the ball. It was a fun game, good score. Awesome to send Bob Stoops out like that. Awesome to see Drake Stoops gets a touchdown with Bob Stoops coaching. So I think there was a lot of fun, especially for Sooner fans.
Yeah, definitely. And, you mentioned Marcus Stripling. I know there were some rumblings and some potential rumors that he could be one of the guys that would have entered into the transfer portal. But I feel like, he got his playing opportunities in the bowl game and he would be more likely to stay. He looked pretty good. I agree with you, though. I mean, at the end of the day, we can't really take this game as like they played a full strength Oregon, against a full strength Oklahoma, because obviously that didn't happen. But I'm just glad that we saw this team come out motivated, which we all thought they would, after, being abandoned, basically. They came out and they were ready to play. And, I really liked seeing the run game. And I felt like all season long, we sat here and was like, why weren't we running the football? And then you had Marcus Major come in as well. He had 10 carries for 54 yards. And I know he wasn't available all season long because of academic issues, but he was available for the last, I don't know, was it 4 or 5 games? I think he came in the Texas Tech game and some garbage time and then never really saw the field again. He showed a burst. He was hitting people. I mean, he looked good. I just, Kennedy Brooks ran wild because that Oregon defense was really depleted. But I just don't know why the whole season, both of them, between Major and Brooks, whenever they're both available, why they weren't relied on more for the running, and even Eric Gray, sprinkling him in. I don't know. It goes to show you that, Cale Gundy, he knows how to call an offense.
I think, yeah, Cale Gundy called a hell of a game.
Yeah, I mean, he knew that. I mean, this is no secret. The whole Oklahoma offense in the last, 5 to 10 years is you have to establish the run and then the passing game starts. And for whatever reason, this season, it was pass first, run second, when in reality, this whole offense should be run first, pass second. And Gundy probably knew it the entire time, and he's like, well, I'm getting my opportunity. This is what I'm going to do. And they run for 322 yards against a depleted defense, but still, that's a Pac-12 defense. I mean, that's not like a Division III Institute of Technology college or something like that. I mean, there's talented guys on that roster.
Yeah, and to both of your points, it was great to see them motivated, but Brum said it perfectly. We sat here all year long. We all, every time we came on a recap, questioned why was Kennedy Brooks not used more. I think the one time we were like, all right, we understand, is during the Texas Tech game, because it was just Caleb was roasting them, and there was no reason to change because he was the hot hand. But before and after, we always said Kennedy needs to stop. They need to establish him with Kennedy, give him his opportunity and his carries, and then Caleb will be able to do what he does. And it just never happened. And that's why we lost a lot of games. That's why a lot of games were put out of Oklahoma's hand, because we saw the other team was running the ball and they were able to convert on third down and fourth down. And really, whenever we got the ball, I don't know if we ever won time of possession in the games that we played this year, which doesn't mean that we should lose, but it is going to take, once, if they have 40 minutes of time of possession, we only have 20, like the chances of winning are pretty low at that point, unless you're capitalizing every single drive, which we just weren't doing this year. And it was good to see that Kale recognized it. I think from my perspective, he probably noticed that problem all year long, and he just wasn't in the position to do something about it. And now that he did. And all the running backs contributed at some level. And I like what you said, Brum. It is important that Marcus Major was involved, because he's more than likely going to be our feature back next year. And it's a good glimpse of what's going to happen in next season in the running game.
Yeah, and you know what's even funnier is we've sat here and said we want to see more Kennedy Brooks. We want to see more Kennedy Brooks, in which I definitely agree. But he still ran for 1,253 yards and 13 touchdowns.
It seems like every time he touches the ball, he gets 7 or 8 yards a carry.
Yeah, I mean, overall, his average is 6.3 yards a carry. I mean, I don't know about you, but that's winning football, in my opinion. I mean, if you're getting 6 yards a carry over the course of an entire season, you just run that guy and you're going to get first downs often.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, he had a great year, and just, obviously we saw today he declared for the NFL draft, which is not very surprising. I mean, he's probably a mid-round guy, and I don't blame him for going. And, he only ran for 198 times. And I just feel like if Cale Gundy would have been calling the offense, or if Lincoln Riley would have been, calling a normal offense and not being checked out, Brooks might have had 1,600 yards this year. If it really should have been called the way we're talking about it. I just hope that that Major keeps his grades up, because like you said, Jose, he's going to have a huge role next year. I know we're going to have some, freshmen, and Gray will be there, but Major is going to be a big factor into this next upcoming season.
Circling back, kind of, just bowl recap a game again, I think some other guys, I think Jalil Farouk looked pretty promising with Caleb Williams out there throwing the ball to him. They had a pretty good connection. I thought it was pretty cool to see Caleb Williams when, Farouk got that little scuffle towards the Oregon, or that may have been, I can't remember what sideline it was on, but it doesn't really matter. But, Caleb Williams was the first person there to, break it up, kind of tell him to get his ass, like, we're not doing this. I thought that was encouraging to see. I think Pat Fields played a hell of a game on defense too. I think he had 10 tackles, 6 solo, 1 tackle for loss. Justin Broyles had a nice interception out there. Obviously it was good to see Danny Stutzman get out there and fly around a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I think Farouk was another very bright spot as far as yesterday's bowl game goes, and he contributed big to the outcome.
And that's a guy that we talked about in our Who Dat series. Brandon called him, and he, I don't know if he still believes this, but at the moment he said that was going to be the best receiver that Caleb Williams is going to have, or the most I guess, explosive. I don't know exactly remember how you put it, but pretty much that Jalil was going to be the best one out of anyone that Caleb was going to throw to in his time as a Sooner. And they have a connection. We saw it yesterday. This is the first time Jalil got to play real time, and
Led the
he
team
showed what he
receiving.
can do. Yeah, he led the team in receiving, 3 receptions, 64 yards, averaged 21.3 per catch. I mean, the
He
only
had
thing
that
he was
one
missing is a touchdown.
that one first down. I think that I can't remember if it was second or third down. Brown, do you remember what I'm talking about? Where Caleb Williams, he literally checked it down to him, and Farouk kind of just bullied 2 or 3 Oregon Ducks to get the first down.
Mhm.
They kind of literally carried him to the marker, which I thought was cool to see.
He did. And, I don't see, Hazelwood, losing him in the portal. I don't see any drop off with leaning on Farouk at all. If anything, it might be a slight upgrade. I mean, the kid's young, and Hazelwood, I mean, not that he was bad or anything, because Hazelwood was great. I mean, he was really starting to come into his own. I agree. I mean, I think we all really talked highly of Farouk in his Houdat video of just the ceiling is extremely high, but he's not the most hyped, recruit coming in. I mean, Mario Williams was highly thought of before he even got on campus, and he's terrific as well. But he looked good, and I mean, obviously, some stupid rule kept him from scoring a touchdown. I mean, I get the rule, but I mean, he should have scored on that 50-something yard.
He would have walked in
because it's but Farouk, I mean, I don't see any drop off. So if you think about even, I don't want to jump ahead next year too much, but you just think about Farouk, Mario Williams, Mike Woods, Drake Stoops, Theo, and Weiss. I mean, we haven't even seen Weiss all year. I mean, those guys, the Sooners are going to be in great position, and that's not even talking about Cody Jackson. I mean, Cody Jackson's still sitting in the wings because he got sick. And you got these freshmen coming in, and Nick Anderson and Jaden Gibson. That wide receiver room is as good as ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's good. It's a lot of fun. Plus, you got Caden Helms coming in, Jason Llewellyn, pretty athletic tight ends. I think it's gonna be fun to see Gavin Sawchuk in that offense too. It's I don't think the offense is gonna miss too many beats next year under with Levy and the talent coming in and the talent that is staying. I think Reggie Grimes is another guy who played a pretty solid game yesterday. In the bowl game, I think he had a half sack. Deshaun White played a pretty decent game. He's a guy that one to look forward to. Who else kind of stuck out to you guys as far as I'm still trying to keep it on the bowl game for a little bit before we.
Yeah, Ethan Downs looked good to me as well.
Yeah,
Downs looked really good. I think Key Lawrence. He didn't look bad, but I feel like whenever I just see his potential at the safety position, he's playing in a position that really doesn't suit him.
What was it? Was it him or was it? It was DJ Graham who had a pretty bad night yesterday.
DJ Graham,
DJ Graham was giving up.
He got toasted.
He was the 2 deep ball touchdowns. I thought it was him responsible for that. Yeah, that. It's one game, it's one bowl game. But when they scored 27 points or 32 points, 47-32.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, 2 of those touchdowns were just DJ Graham. Literally just, it was weird. It was like he just was flat-footed, and the dude just literally ran right by him, wide open.
Well, and then he
on DJ Graham.
Yeah, and that's what I was about to say. He got on one of them where he got shook pretty good, and he got beat by 3 steps, and the quarterback Anthony just didn't. Yeah, he just didn't put it on him. They didn't really go after Woody Washington a whole lot. They went after Graham.
Yeah, I don't know. I liked how the corners played out, obviously outside of DJ. But what was impressive to me is the shift in mentality on the defensive side of the ball and actually completing tackles and not just watching someone try to complete a tackle. I think if we think back during the season, we can probably all recall the clip that came out of Guebu, just watching someone try to complete a tackle, and then the guy broke out and probably got another 10 yards before someone even caught up. These guys were actually like coming in piles, and that's what you're supposed to do on defense. And whoever's coaching, who has been coaching them up for the bowl game, if Bob had something to do with it, and he probably did with just the mentality and the culture he brought in for the last few weeks. Like that in and of itself is a good sign, and I think it's something we can expect of Brent Venables to continue to push for next year and moving forward.
I think Brian Odom called a relatively good game on defense as well, because again, there's nothing you can do about your corners straight up getting just, beat like that. But you take those 2 touchdowns and he held them to 3 points at halftime. And then we mentioned earlier, it was, a depleted Oregon team but if you hold anybody to 3, as you mentioned earlier, Brian, it's still a Pac-12 football team, a team that won 10 games. You hold them to 3 at halftime. It's pretty damn good. And then typical OU fashion, we kind of let teams back in, but I feel like this game, it was never, ever really in question. Like, you know what I mean? We never really had to stress this one out, or there was never a time where I was like, shit, they're actually going to come back. And all they did was make it look closer on the scoreboard. But it is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, one last guy that stuck out to me on defense was Jalen Redmond. I think Redmond, he had a sack, and he has one of the highest ceilings on this defense that's currently on the roster right now. I know he's battled blood clots and various other injuries. I know he had I think a knee injury or ankle injury this year. He is going to be heavily leaned on next year. He is super talented. He just needs to stay on the field. He looked great tonight, and I think him. And then there's one other guy I think will flourish under the Brent Venables defense. I know a lot of people talk about Jaden Davis. He's been kind of up and down. I know he was a starting corner at one spot, or at one point in time, and he was heavily involved. DJ Graham has kind of come on since then, but he got kind of burnt. Jaden Davis, Clemson was his number 2 pick. It was between Clemson and Oklahoma because of Brent Venables. I feel like Venables is going to be able to take, Davis to that next level, and they've got that familiarity, and he liked the scheme that Venables had. And I feel like next year Davis could have a really good season. That's just talking down the road, but I feel like Redmond and Davis will be big contributors next year.
Yeah. And I know we've been critical on, the coaches, because half of them going to USC, it stings, it hurts. But I think it was cool to see Odom, Kane, and Thibodeau come back. They clearly were invested in the game. They weren't – obviously, they were there for one game and one game only, but they, it mattered to them, especially Coach Thibodeau. You saw there's a video out there of him, kind of tearing up as they're breaking, like, the pregame huddle thing or whatever. Just I think taking in the moment, really realizing, like, this is it for him. So I guess, I wish those guys well, especially Thibodeau, because he's going, what is it, SMU bound or whatever. Mm-hmm. It was cool to see that, though. That's as far as takeaways of the bowl game. What do you guys have? Was anything else before we move on to those who are departing?
The best part was just the visor.
It was just
that was awesome. Yeah,
passing of the visor. Everyone's on Twitter. It's not passing of the torch, but the visor. I just think it
was cool.
It's a perfect way to end Bob's coach. Hopefully legitimately end Bob's coaching career. Not that I wouldn't want to see him back as a head coach, but he's retired. He's a Hall of Famer, and now it's time for Brent Venables to for his path to the Hall of Fame and one of the best Oklahoma coaches.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's kind of nostalgic, watch Bob Stoops roam the sidelines for so many years and to see him one last time.
There's no doubt it was cool to see him out there on the sideline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was cool to see, Drake Stoops catch a touchdown and that whole deal. There was a picture I saw today of when Bob Stoops, like in the early 2000s, and they had, Drake Stoops was this little kid, or he was a toddler, and now he's catching touchdowns for the team he started coaching, 20 something years ago. And it's just cool to see. And it was really cool to see Schmitty and Venables roam the sidelines and just stand there and watch. And I'm just thinking to myself, and a lot of memes and a lot of people were tweeting about, like, Schmitty's just talking with Venables saying these kids don't know what's coming for them. These workouts are going to be terrible. They don't know what they're in for. This is a total cultural change with Schmitty and Venables. And it's, just bringing back the old, maybe 2000s teams. which are not a bad deal.
Not one bit. But let's move on to the guys we know we will be missing next year as they're moving on to the NFL, next level of football. And hopefully, I think we can all agree we wish them all the best. They did everything that they needed to as Sooners, and I think most of them left a pretty good impression on fans, and they left their mark on the program. So the guys that announced they're leaving for the draft pre-bowl game were Benito, Perrion Winfrey, Brian Asamoah, and Isaiah Thomas. And then as of earlier today, Jeremiah Hall has declared for the draft, Kennedy Brooks and Gabe Burkich. I've never known how to pronounce his name correctly, so I hope I did. So we're going to be seeing a lot of new faces next year on all sides of the ball, and we'll see a new kicker. It's been a while since we had it, since it wasn't Gabe out there, taking kicks, and hopefully he, whatever funk he's been in over the final stretch of the season, he can get out of, because I think he could have a lot of opportunity in the NFL. There's been some rough I think this year and maybe even last year have been pretty rough for kickers overall. So he definitely has an opportunity to have a long NFL career.
Oh yeah. No, yeah. He, those four players on the defensive side of the ball, the ones that we, the pre-draft opt-outs, or the bowl game opt-outs for the draft, IT, Benito, Winfrey, and Asamoah. Those are probably the biggest losses, I would say. Kennedy Brooks is another huge one. I love Jeremiah Hall. I hope someone gives that guy a chance, because I think he can be a pretty solid NFL player. I think they all can. I think they will all get a legitimate opportunity. Jeremiah Hall is the one I worry about the most. Not because he's not talented enough or things of that nature. He's gonna find that he's like a fullback is kind of a dying position in the NFL, and I don't know if he can play an NFL tight end, or what his role would be. He's the one. But I hope he gets his chance. I hope they all get a great opportunity in a team that they can thrive in.
Yeah, only a handful of teams still carry a fullback on the roster, so the competition is that much higher for a position like that. But he's extremely talented. Gabe Burkich, I think the NFL is starved for great kickers, or at least you don't even have to be great. You just have to be good. There's some bad kicking in the NFL. I think Burkich is going to get his shot for sure. He's better than Seibert in my opinion, and Seibert got a few stops at a few different NFL teams.
He was drafted, wasn't he?
He was drafted. Yeah, so he was drafted. Winfrey, he's going to be drafted, that's for sure. I just don't know where Asamoah is going to go. It's hard for me to read where he's going. Kennedy Brooks, that one hurts, but assuming that the Sooners picks up they pick up Javonte Barnes, and they've already got Gavin Sawchuk coming in.
He's already coming in. Yeah, as we mentioned earlier, Marcus Major's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
As far as there's plenty of time to fill the roster, replace them, so to essentially. But I think of all of the guys who are draft bound. I think Benito's the one who's going to get drafted the highest. Do you guys agree with that, or somebody else? Benito?
He should be a first-round pick, late first, maybe early second. Pass rushers you just can't pass up on a good pass rusher. He's a great one.
I don't think he's going to be a first-round pick. I see him. I think he has the talent, but I think he was a little bit of a victim of, how the season played out. I bet he'll be late second and more like a third-round pick, kind of like Ronnie Perkins was. I do think Ronnie Perkins dropped a little far. I think late second, he's going to be a day two kind of guy. But I feel like if he would have had his coaches all in, he probably would have had a better season. But still, I do agree. I think he's going to be the highest drafted guy. We're probably going to lose Marquise Hayes as well. He's probably going to announce DTY is probably going to go. I'd imagine Pat Fields, if he hasn't already announced. I don't think Pat Fields is
I haven't
announced
seen
yet.
anything about Fields yet. No.
He was undecided because he did accept his invitation of the Senior Bowl, but he mentioned he wasn't sure yet.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know Pat Fields gets a lot of flack. I know he does. But here's the deal. I would love, DTY is probably going to be gone, but I would love for Pat Fields to come back and play safety with Key Lawrence just to give some leadership and a little stability back there. Losing both safeties in this defense in this league, it's really tough. And to have a guy that's consistently good, like he's not the best of the best, but he's definitely not the worst. He's just very stable back there. And I think that would pay some dividends for him to come back. And I certainly hope Deshaun White comes back. I expect him to come back because losing Asamoah, it would be hard to lose White and Asamoah in the same season.
There's a lot of, I think, really promising linebackers coming in next year. That's one spot I'm really not too worried about. With Cody McKenzie, who I think is going to be a freak. Kip Lewis is a guy we don't talk about very much in the show, or haven't yet. I'm sure he will have a Who Dat series coming up, in the more off season. But he's going to be pretty special. I think Clayton Smith's going to be really, really good in this Brent Venables led defense. I think linebackers is one place that we're pretty set. Danny Stutzman,
yeah. I do expect the Sooners, with these departures, they're going to pick up a handful of transfers. I think we're looking around three to four. I don't know who, but I feel like they're going to pick up 3 or 4 in various different positions just to fill out this roster with some talent.
Hopefully you get some JUCO guys too. Those JUCO guys, we've said it multiple times. You don't play JUCO football because it's just something to do. You got to love the sport to be at that level. And I think they're always good culture odds for whatever team they go to. And hopefully a couple of them go to OU next year.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, overall, I'm happy we got the win. The Sooners, ending on a high note. It's, it's just what the Sooners program is. It's a down year, and the Sooners finished 11-2.
Yeah.
I mean, it was disappointing, and we have to keep in perspective that a lot of programs would wish to be where we finished this year on a down year. And I think the future's bright. Hopefully we see a Caleb Williams, like I'm coming back for sure announcement in the next week or so. I expect him to, but you just never know until he comes out and says he's going to.
Agreed.
I know we've been getting a lot of flack saying, if he comes back, until I see his tweet or his post, that's when I'll believe it.
I'm with you 100% on that. 100% on that. But yeah, it's officially Brent Venables time, boys. I think I saw a tweet today. It's 248 days till the next senior football game, and it'll be the Brent Venables show. We'll see, how he fills out the remaining open spots on the staff, and should be a fun next season.
Gosh, that's a long wait, but it's coming.
Yeah, definitely. So I think overall, Brum said it best. Not good season overall. A lot of teams wish they could be in Oklahoma's position. So we're happy where we ended. Now it's just time to focus on Brent Venables' new football team and what they can put together. And hopefully it's going to be a much different team that we see next year in regards to mentality. But if you guys made it this far, thank you very much. You're awesome for doing so. Brandon, do you want to do a quick end of video?
Hell yeah, we do. I guess, we just watched a huge legend at OU, coach's final game at OU, sent him off the right way. I think we'd be wrong to make something with him, not the, end of video challenge. So any variety of Stoops, GOAT, legend, Bobby, anything like that. Anything about Bob Stoops will be the end of video challenge.
All right. You heard it. Put your favorite memory or just Bob, Stoops, anything that you want in the comment section. We're going to be looking forward to seeing those. Thank you all for watching. Again, make sure you follow us on Twitter, Instagram. If you don't like seeing us, go on Spotify. All the links are down below. If you can't find them, you can just search us up, 2 Plane Sports. Everything's at 2 Plane Sports. We try to make it simple. Just because football season's over doesn't mean we're going to be done making content. We'll make sure to stay on top of the coaching search. Basketball is about to start heating up with conference play in January. Once the softball tournament starts going, we'll probably start tuning into that a little bit heavier. Our girls are always pretty good and contending for another natty. So we will continue cranking out content and make sure to look out for our Who Dat series that's going to be coming in the off season. Thank you all for watching again. We'll see you next time.